that took place. Israelis marching towards occupied East Jerusalem, towards the old city, and at Damascus.
Just to give you guys a framework here, what they're doing here is if the American state sanctioned Charlottesville, like the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally in Tulsa, where openly like Nazis and white supremacists marched through the streets of Tulsa to honor the massacre and the atrocities that they committed in Tulsa. And the government literally celebrated that and allowed it to continue. And they let it happen all the time. This is exact, like, it's incomprehensible. It's such profound cruelty that it is incomprehensible to even, like, try to put it on American terms. The comparison of a Nazi march to this one is just not true? Oh, wait, really? Wait, why? You think the comparison to a Nazi march to this one is just not true? Huh. I wonder why. Let me hear more of it. Hold on. What does he mean by this when he says the second Nakba is coming? Interesting, dude. Interesting. Passover, question mark? No, motherfucker. Nakba is the mass ethnic displacement of Palestinians that these motherfuckers celebrate, where, you know, magically, how many million, is it a million or hundreds of thousands of Palestinians just magically disappeared from their homes that they used to live in? 700,000. That's what he's talking about here when he says the second Nakba is coming soon. So go ahead, dude. Tell me how that's different than exactly what I was referencing.
Which is a very important gathering area for...
Maybe they moved? Dude, come on. Shut the f up, dude.
Palestinians. It's the main entrance to the Muslim quarter of the old city. The flag parade took place there. Now, that area had been cleared in a forceful...
What does the government or leaders think about this? They sanction this. They know for a fact that these are like ultra-nationalist psychos. And they, by the way, this is occurring on occupied Palestinian territory. They literally walk through the neighborhoods that the Israeli government is currently illegally occupying. Okay? So just remember that. Like, this is an act of aggression and a celebration of ethnic displacement. I don't even need to show you the Israelis that are saying, like, yeah, fuck you, death to all Arabs, for you to comprehend that this is a white supremacist action. Okay? It's disgusting. And it is no different than what American Nazis were doing in Unite the Right. Actually, it is a little different, because those American Nazis and neo-Nazis and white supremacists that said Jews shall not replace us down the streets of Charlottesville do not have the same kind of backing and power by the American government. We tried to prevent that from happening. American government is still white supremacist, certainly. Okay, there is still a lot of white supremacy that occurs, but never to this degree that you know, black people aren't being systematically murdered, and they are still being jailed, but not to the same degree as like routinely being bombed every single time something happens. I've said this before, like, what's happening to Palestinians right now is literally, unfortunately, and this triggers people sometimes, but like what's happening to Palestinians, especially in the Gaza Strip, is worse than, and I hate comparing atrocities like this, but it's worse than what's happening to black Americans right now in America. And what's happening to black Americans right now in America is pretty fucked up. Palestinians have to look forward to, like, I've talked about Palestinian oppression from the framework of like white supremacy in the United States, right? Why are you comparing it though? Because people don't understand it. Because people need to understand it. And unfortunately, Americans can only comprehend something from a very American-centric framework. Here's what it's like. Palestinians living inside Israeli borders right now, i.e. the Israeli definition for this is Israeli Arabs, okay? They are currently living in a system that resembles like the Jim Crow South. Maybe a little bit more liberties than black people did in the Jim Crow South pre-civil rights movement. They have more liberties. It's like, so that's the best situation for a Palestinian person. And even then, they can have their rights removed on a whim like this. Okay? That's the best situation for fucking Palestinians. That's what they look forward to. Or if they ever had the opportunity to. It's apartheid South Africa, not Jim Crow South. Yeah, it's apartheid South Africa. That's the best situation for them. One layer worse than the Palestinians living inside of Israeli borders is the Palestinians living in occupied Jerusalem, where they don't have anything. They don't have access to their own natural water supplies. Their wells get destroyed routinely. It takes 15 years for the Israeli government to allow them to like build a new well. So those guys at least have some somewhat more, you know, they have some liberties. Not as good as the Palestinians living in Israeli borders, though, but they're still better off than the Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip, who are living in the world's largest open-air prison that routinely gets bombed in a process which Israeli authorities call mowing the lawn.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Way by the Israeli police. Palestinians describe it as being aggressive and discriminatory in the way that was done. There was video footage filmed of one man being violently beaten by Israeli police on the steps of Damascus Gate. Witnesses there said that he was refusing to move. The police haven't responded to a request for a statement about that incident itself. But there was certainly the feeling among Palestinians that this was forceful policing. They cleared the area of Palestinians. The Israelis were then allowed in. Some of the marchers chanted death to Arabs and also expressed a desire for some Palestinian neighborhoods to.
Palestine can never be free with Hamas in power. Abolishing Hamas will make Palestine free. Oh, that's a wonderful take, dude. Is that why Israeli authorities chose Hamas as a counterweight against the Palestinian liberation, like the PLO and other organizations that were Marxist? Is that why they thought that Hamas would be easier to deal with and funded them? I didn't realize the Nakba happened because of Hamas, by the way. Yeah, Palestine was literally free during the Nakba, or rather Hamas was the reason for that, right? Yeah, this organization that was created in like 1987 is the reason for a century of oppression. Nearly a century of oppression. Such a dumb argument, dude. Kek, wait, so you're making his argument? No, I'm being sarcastic, you dingus. I'm saying that Israeli oppression of Palestinians predates Hamas. Hamas is just used as a red herring, as a reason for all of the brutality by ultra-nationalist Zionists.
Foreign Minister Yair Lapid to say that those marchers were a disgrace. He condemned what he said was racism and un-Israeli behavior, but at the same time he congratulated the policing of the event and said that it had passed in a way that certainly they seemed pleased with in terms of the way it had been managed. So what we were witnessing was a rise in tensions again in Jerusalem, and once again some hostilities around the Gaza Strip, but certainly nothing like the hostilities, the big rise in confrontation that we saw that led to the all-out conflict of last month.
Please don't penetrate my Israeli